The carpentry of the Amish community is a true display of tradition and excellence. From the meticulous selection of the sturdiest wood to the use of artisanal techniques perfected over centuries, the Amish have turned furniture making into an unrivaled art. In this video, we will show you how they achieve durable, beautiful, and fully handcrafted pieces. Ready to discover the secrets behind their unique strength and charm? Join us to learn more. 1. Wood selection. The Amish not only seek to use oak, cherry, maple, or walnut of the highest quality, but they also pay close attention to the origin of each log or plank to promote the sustainability of local forests. During the selection process, they make sure every piece has a uniform grain, as this minimizes the likelihood of warping or twisting over time. In addition, they meticulously review the color consistency and fiber density so that, when the furniture is finished, all parts share a similar tone and texture, maintaining a harmonious appearance. On the other hand, their direct contact with regional sawmills helps establish fair trade relationships, strengthening the local economy and reducing the carbon footprint thanks to shorter transport distances. Once the material is selected, it undergoes a rigorous drying process that can last several weeks or even months, depending on the thickness of the wood and the climate of the region. This drying stage may be carried out in controlled kilns, where temperature and humidity are adjusted to speed up the process without compromising the quality of the board, or through natural outdoor resting, highly valued for its low environmental impact. Even after this initial drying, the Amish usually measure the internal humidity of each piece with specialized tools, making sure the moisture content is optimal before moving on to the next step. In short, this meticulous selection and careful drying process constitute the fundamental pillar that guarantees the longevity of each piece of furniture crafted under Amish artisanal principles. 2. Prepping of the wood. The wood preparation phase clearly reflects the Amish commitment to precision and traditional craftsmanship. To begin with, each plank is flattened and planed by hand, or with very simple mechanical tools, to remove the outer layer that may contain irregularities, dirt, or saw marks. This work requires patience and delicacy, as excessive pressure or improper angle when using the plane could cause unevenness that would result in unstable joints. While they work on each piece, the artisans carry out visual and tactile inspections, running their hands over the surface to detect any lumps, grooves, or inconsistencies in the grain. If they find unstable knots or small cracks, they use specific filling or reinforcing techniques that, instead of discarding the entire board, only address the compromised area. In this way, they maximize wood usage and reduce resource waste. Later, they square each edge to ensure the pieces maintain exact angles, an essential requirement for the joints to fit perfectly. To keep precise control of measurements, the Amish often rely on metal rulers, squares, carpentry compasses, and calibrated chisels, preferred for their simplicity and reliability. Only after verifying several times that the dimensions are correct do they proceed to mark the final cut guides. This rigorous preparation process not only optimizes subsequent assembly, but also preserves the meticulous spirit that distinguishes the Amish community in all their work. 3. Efficient design and precut. Within Amish construction philosophy, functionality and durability outweigh any form of excessive ornamentation, so each project begins with the creation of clean, practical sketches. These designs, often passed down through numerous generations, are subtly updated to adapt to new needs without sacrificing their timeless essence. Once they define the dimensions and general shape of the furniture, the Amish create templates in cardboard or lightweight wood to precisely mark each piece that will later be cut. This system reduces the likelihood of errors, as each template is made following standards passed down in the community and perfected through constant practice. After having a clear plan and the corresponding templates, they carry out the pre-cutting of each component, whether strips, planks, or panels of various thicknesses. They organize each piece into clearly labeled batches based on its function in the furniture, for example, legs, crossbars, tops, or backs, so that when the assembly phase arrives, the process is fluid and almost uninterrupted. Furthermore, this prior preparation helps reduce waste, since each plank is cut in such a way that the surplus is used for smaller pieces or for additional creations. With this method, the Amish community combines tradition with modern efficiency, showing that meticulousness and strategic planning are not incompatible with a deep respect for artisanal heritage. 4. Sanding and smoothing. For the Amish, the sanding and smoothing process is one of the most meticulous stages in the creation of any piece of furniture, as it defines much of the surface's smoothness and final appearance. Generally, they start by using medium grit sandpaper to remove the initial marks left by tools or previous cuts, and then progressively move on to finer grit sandpaper. This step-by-step change in grit gradually softens roughness, preventing uneven or deep wear that could alter the piece's original shape. In addition, Each artisan makes sure to maintain a uniform sanding pattern, almost always following the direction of the grain toe, highlight the natural beauty of the wood, and reduce the risk of cross scratches. At the end of each phase, it's not unusual for them to run their hands over the surface to detect any imperfection imperceptible to the naked eye, thus correcting small unevenness before moving on to the next grit level. This procedure is also vital for the proper adhesion of final finishes, whether stains, oils, varnishes, or natural waxes. If the surface has very open pores or splinters, the result may appear dull, stained, or have a rough texture that detracts from the piece's appeal. Therefore, patience is essential. Some artisans may spend extra hours perfecting the sanding of pieces with curves or intricate details, using sanding blocks of different shapes or even special sandpapers for hard-to-reach areas. In many Amish workshops, cleaning techniques with damp cloths or compressed air are used between each sanding pass, so that accumulated dust is removed and the progress of smoothing can be evaluated more accurately. This dedication to caring for even the smallest detail allows them to guarantee a smooth, flawless result, ready for the application of any protective finish that will prolong the furniture's useful life. 5. Traditional joinery. Mastery of joinery techniques is a distinctive feature of Amish woodworking, where the preference for joinery work dates back to the traditions of European master cabinet makers. Instead of relying heavily on nails or screws, they use methods such as dovetail joints, characteristic in drawers and corners for their strength and visual appeal. Finger joints, widely used to lengthen boards without compromising aesthetics. And the classic mortise and tenon joints, essential when connecting perpendicular parts like legs with crosspieces or chair and table frames. These joints require extreme precision, as they must fit in such a way that the structure is solid but also flexible enough to accommodate the wood's natural movement as it expands or contracts with changes in temperature and humidity. The speed and accuracy with which they perform these techniques are not the result of chance, but rather of decades, even generations of refinement. From a young age, apprentices devote hours to practicing angled cuts, drawing guidelines and adjusting joints in test models, learning the importance of symmetry and alignment. Once these skills are mastered, they can create fits so fine that they barely need additional adhesives, although they often use natural or modern glues to reinforce the joint and seal any minimal gap that may remain. The solidity and durability of these techniques not only demonstrate the Amish community's expertise, but also highlight their philosophy of sustainability, since by building furniture that can last for generations, they reduce resource consumption and honor the artisanal legacy that characterizes them. 6. Pre-assembly planning. Before finalizing any assembly, Amish craftsmen carry out what they call a dry assembly or test assembly, a practice that prevents unpleasant surprises and costly setbacks. In this preliminary phase, they place each piece in the exact position and order in which it will ultimately be joined, meticulously checking that the angles, alignment, and dimensions match the initial plans or patterns. During this inspection, small errors are easily detected. For example, an edge that doesn't fit flush, or a joint that's slightly off-center and corrected before applying glues or final fasteners. In this way, they ensure that the joining process is much smoother and free of complications. At the same time, while supervising the fitting of the parts, they constantly refer to their plans, taking exact measurements with squares and calibrated rulers. If something does not match the established mark, they resort to slight recesses, filing, or angle adjustments to guarantee perfect contact of the pieces. Furthermore, this methodology makes it possible to better organize the fastening steps. For instance, if certain joints take priority due to drying times or structural support, the order in which adhesives are applied or dowels inserted is determined accordingly. As a result, the incidence of miscalculations or defective assemblies is drastically reduced, and the piece gains in stability and a professional finish. By the time final assembly takes place, the craftsman is certain that each element is in its proper place, reinforcing confidence in the durability and aesthetics of the finished product. 7. Hand tools and minimal machinery. At the heart of Amish woodworking lies a philosophy that favors simplicity and individual skill over massive mechanization. Thus, instead of filling their workshops with sophisticated electric devices, they opt for a limited set of hand tools such as saws, chisels, planes, rasps, and mallets. This preference has several advantages. First, the direct handling of the wood offers meticulous control that allows artisans to feel the resistance, hardness, and grain direction in real time. Moreover, by not relying on complex machine adjustments, they can make small corrections and tweaks almost intuitively without interrupting their workflow. On the other hand, keeping machinery to a minimum contributes to a quieter and safer work environment, where the artisan focuses on the wood's natural rhythm. The absence of harsh noises and strong vibrations reduces mental fatigue, promoting more attentive and detailed work. Likewise, limiting the number of machines reduces maintenance and energy costs, aligning with the Amish community's ethic of self-sufficiency and sustainability. The result is furniture production marked by precision and quality, stemming from manual skill acquired over years of practice, rather than dependence on mechanical devices. 8. Furniture assembly. With all the pieces cut and prepared, the time comes for the final join, a step in which accuracy and experience are essential to achieve the characteristic solidity of Amish furniture. To begin, the artisans lay out the parts in the exact assembly order, following a carefully planned scheme and avoiding mixing components that might vary in size or design. Next, they check that each joint, whether dovetail, mortise and tenon, or another type, matches precisely, examining slots and tabs to ensure a fit free of unnecessary stress. Once the piece's compatibility is confirmed, they apply high-strength adhesives, typically glues, that combine durability and flexibility to adapt to any possible wood movement. During this process, the Amish pay special attention to the amount and distribution of adhesive, as too much can run and stain the surface, while too little leads to weak joints. Before firmly pressing the parts together, they usually perform a slight back-and-forth motion similar to a gentle rocking to better set the glue and expel any air bubbles. Then, with the help of rubber mallets or light, controlled tapping, they adjust the pieces until they are perfectly leveled and stable. Only after verifying the firmness of each contact point do they move on to the next step, which involves using clamps for uniform support during the drying process. 9. Glue application and clamping. In Amish woodworking, the gluing and clamping phase is the culminating moment that determines the furniture's sturdiness and durability. After fitting the pieces and confirming they align perfectly, they carefully spread glue on the contact surfaces. At this point, they ensure the adhesive penetrates well into the fibers, distributing it with brushes or special applicators to reach every nook of the joint. Any excess is immediately removed with cloths or spatulas, preventing it from forming crusts or drying unevenly. They then place adjustable clamps strategically around the structure, calibrating the exact pressure to be exerted on each joint. The idea is to keep the parts in their final position without warping the wood or excessively stressing the joints. To achieve this balance, they may use intermediary wooden blocks that distribute force evenly and prevent unwanted marks on the surface. Drying time varies depending on temperature, ambient humidity, and the type of glue used, but the Amish always follow very meticulous guidelines, respecting the manufacturer's recommendations and often adding an extra margin to ensure maximum strength. After this careful waiting period, they remove the clamps and inspect each joint for imperfections or excess glue that, if necessary, can be corrected with a light pass of fine sandpaper. This is the finishing touch in an artisanal process that prioritizes solidity, the natural beauty of wood, and the centuries-old legacy of a perfectly honed technique. 10. Hand carving and final details. Hand carving is one of the most artistic facets of Amish furniture making, as it reflects each artisan's skill and aesthetic sensitivity. While most designs maintain simplicity and functionality, many choose to add ornamental details that enhance the wood's natural beauty. To accomplish this work, they use specific tools such as chisels, gouges, carving knives, and burins, which allow them to sculpt various motifs from discrete floral or geometric reliefs to more elaborate patterns evoking a traditional rustic style. The process requires a combination of strength, precision, and delicacy, since one wrong cut could crack the grain or ruin the symmetry of the design. In some workshops, the carvings are inspired by motifs passed down through generations, adapting to current trends without losing the essence of Amish craftsmanship. Once the reliefs are finished, the artisans perform a light sanding of edges and contours to remove roughness and refine the finish without blurring the created details. This final smoothing step is done with fine grit sandpaper or even special blades, ensuring the furniture has a smooth texture that's pleasant to the touch. Thus, each piece is completed with a unique personal touch that preserves the inherent sobriety of Amish tradition while showcasing the technical mastery of the carver. 11. Staining, finishing. Once carving and sanding work is complete, it's time to enhance the wood's natural color and protect it from environmental factors such as humidity, sunlight, or temperature change. For this, the Amish typically use natural stains and oils, including linseed oil, tung oil, or special mixes prepared in the same workshop, which not only provide a deep tone to the surface, but also prove less harmful to the environment and the health of those handling the furniture. They apply the coats uniformly with brushes, cloths, or small sponges, ensuring the product penetrates the grain properly. After the first coat, the furniture is left to rest for the necessary time so the oil or stain can settle and be fully absorbed. Sometimes, they wipe off the excess with a soft cloth to prevent stains. This process is repeated as many times as needed, alternating drying periods with light polishing, until the desired tone and protection are achieved. Each step is carried out with great care to avoid bubbles, scratches, or visible marks. Unlike synthetic finishes, natural formulas allow the wood to breathe, meaning it continues to expand and contract without compromising its strength or appearance. Additionally, these finishes provide an organic look and feel that reinforce the furniture's artisanal quality, extending its useful life while preserving its aesthetic. 12. Final polishing. The polishing phase is the crowning touch in the making of an Amish piece of furniture, as this is when the surface acquires that silky, warm look so characteristic of these works. With the wood already protected by oils or stains, the next step involves applying natural waxes or additional oils which, once rubbed onto the piece, form a slightly glossy protective layer resistant to dust and humidity. This task is done by hand, using cotton or wool cloths that allow for more precise control and prevent any chance of excess. Through circular motions, or by following the grain, the product is distributed evenly, then left to penetrate before any surplus is removed. Sometimes, the artisans repeat the process multiple times to intensify the depth of the sheen, interspersing drying breaks with passes of a clean cloth that softens the surface layer. The result is a finish that pleases both the eye and the touch, as the wood acquires a smooth, velvety texture. Moreover, this final polishing further seals the pores and reinforces the action of the previously applied oils and stains, extending the piece's lifespan. The finish is thus the product of the dedication and care that characterize the Amish community, focused on preserving and perfecting a craft tradition that highlights the inherent beauty of the wood and the commitment to quality. 13. Experience and skill passed down. The artisanal mastery that defines the Amish community does not emerge overnight. It is the result of years of training and continuous practice, often begun in childhood. The new generations start by observing their relatives' workshops, learning to distinguish different types of wood, recognize the grain, and become familiar with the most basic tools. Gradually, under the supervision of more experienced artisans, they expand their skills until they master complex techniques such as fine carving and traditional joinery. This lengthy learning process not only enriches individual expertise, but also strengthens the sense of community, as older members become mentors who pass on practical advice and secrets acquired over several decades. Over time, Amish woodworking skills are honed in an almost intuitive way. The artisans develop an instinct that allows them to identify imperfections in the wood or make millimeter adjustments with apparent ease and speed. This experience is reflected in the fluidity with which they build each piece, minimizing errors and anticipating potential challenges before they arise. Moreover, the fact that this knowledge flows from generation to generation gives Amish furniture an unmistakable hallmark. Each piece contains not only the skill of the present, but also the wisdom of those who, in the past, left their mark on the tradition. 14. Organized workflow. Efficiency in Amish workshops is not just a product of individual expertise, but also of a meticulous organization of work areas. Every tool, be it a chisel, a gouge, or a hand plane, has its own designated space in the workshop, making it easy to find immediately and preventing time wasted looking for misplaced items. Likewise, materials, woods, adhesives, and finishing elements are arranged on shelves or benches strategically located near cutting and assembly areas, simplifying the transition from one phase to the next. This attention to how the workspace is laid out ensures a smooth production rhythm, where each step naturally flows into the next. Rigorous order also serves as a measure of safety and preservation. Reducing clutter in the workshop minimizes the risk of accidents and damage to pieces or tools. Additionally, prior planning of the workflow, for example, allocating a specific area for sanding and another for staining, allows multiple tasks to be carried out simultaneously without interfering with one another. In this way, artisans can fully concentrate on finishing details or supervising joinery, free from unnecessary distractions. The result is a productive process that harmoniously combines speed and quality while preserving the traditional rigor of Amish woodworking. Each Amish piece of furniture holds a story that begins at the very moment the raw material is selected and continues in the workshop, where expert hands shape the wood with dedication and care. More than mere decorative objects, they are true testaments of an artisanal legacy that spans generations. We hope this glimpse into their creative process has inspired you, whether to try some of these techniques yourself or to further appreciate the discreet grandeur of Amish furniture. The next time you see a table or chair made by them, remember that it is not just a piece of furniture, but the living imprint of a centuries-old tradition.